I don't think I need much of an introduction here. Season of the Wish was just released yesterday, as of recording this video, and I have some thoughts and initial impressions after playing for a bit that I want to share. So let's get right into it. Hey everyone, I'm Rzeki, and welcome to my first impressions of the Season of the Wish in Destiny 2. If you're new here, thanks for stopping in. If you end up liking what I do here, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more weekly Destiny 2 content. We like to talk about game design around here, and we have a lot of new things to talk about with the new season, starting next week. I also want to take a second to thank everyone for the support on my last video. We finally passed 500 subscribers here on YouTube, and I really appreciate everyone who took the time to watch my videos and stick around. So, now it's time to start shooting for that big 1,000 mark. With all that said, let's talk about the new season. If you caught my video about my wish list for the new season, or my review of the Season of the Witch, you already know what I'm looking for in seasonal releases. So how does it look like Season of the Wish is going to stack up? We'll go in order of how I experienced things on the launch day. I went in blind, so I didn't see anything other than weapon perks before playing. Immediately upon launching, I was put right into the intro mission for the seasonal story. I really like the lore of the Ahamkaras, so this season's story already has pretty high expectations in my mind. I think so far the idea of using the Ahamkara to help us pass through the portal is a really interesting concept. And there's also a lot of lore about Savathun's involvement, the Awoken, and of course the trickery of the Wish Dragons in general. The setup for the season seems fine to me, and exchanging our 15th wish for collecting Riven's missing eggs makes sense. I won't have too much more to say about the story until we see it unfold over the next few months though. Right now it seems like it should be fine, and hopefully since it's a lead-in season for the big expansion, the story should really pop off as we get further into it. The first activity we're put into is Riven's Lair. And on my first playthrough, I can confidently say I was not impressed. This is a very short 5 to 10 minute activity where you complete a small puzzle room, fight some ads, and then fight a boss. If you're successful, you're given some loot, and if it's part of the weekly mission, it looks like you'll also be gifted an egg of Riven. My first run placed me into the puzzle room with the booby traps, and to be honest, I really hate this room. I think after playing it a few times, it will be pretty easy to navigate, but I've personally had a lot of issues in terms of player and hitbox detection, timings on traps, and apparently you could be chain killed if you're rezzed on top of a spike trap. Our second activity was something I didn't expect or want. We're now forced to play Blind Well. Yes, you heard me right, Blind Well in 2023. It's unchanged other than maybe some new level scaling. I hated it back when it was first new, I hated it when I returned to the game in Witch Queen, and I still hate it. It's boring, it punishes you for roaming around outside of the bubbles, and the slow spawning of the very few enemies that do spawn makes it take a really long time to complete, even on tier 3 difficulty. In a future video, I'll go more into depth on how they could have improved this activity, but in short, its age shows, and it desperately needed to be refreshed before making it a required seasonal activity. They did add a node on the Dreaming City map to quickly queue into it, so that's a nice change at least. Our third and final activity is the Coil. From what I've seen online, from viewers in my live stream chat, and my own personal experience, this seems like the best activity they've introduced. At its core, it's just a bunch of Riven's Lairs back to back, which makes me really question why we even have them as two separate activities in the first place. We'll get back to this. The Coil is our roguelite activity of the season, so you already know I'm interested in it. As we play through the activity, we need to find hidden faces, which contain glass fragments. These fragments not only count towards your score, but also allows you to buy upgrades from Riven, which act similar to Asa's gifts in deep dives. You have a bit more freedom in selecting which ones you want, which is nice. There are a number of different paths and bosses that can be randomly selected for you to play, and after each boss is defeated, the difficulty of the activity is increased. I think I saw people saying that this goes up to about master level difficulty at its highest, which means you really need to be playing if you want to be rewarded with the highest tier of loot, which, by the way, is a lot. I have yet to complete a full run yet, but this is a great source of seasonal weapons, armor, and more importantly, Ascendant alloy for crafting. Each of the bosses are unique, and I think I like most of them, but that freaking shielded Vex boss is pretty difficult, so be ready for that. I'm not sure if this activity will have the staying power to be fun for all 7 months of the season, but hey, only time will tell. But let's get back to my complaint about Riven's Lair being the same as the Coil. I have no idea why Riven's Lair exists when it is literally the same activity except without looping. Like, players can just leave the Coil after the first stage if they want to do that. Why make a separate version? Now, I wouldn't be so upset if we were given an actual second activity, but instead, Bungie gave us an already existing activity in Blind Well. This is an activity that has been in the game ever since it was first introduced, and no one goes to play it because, to be frank, no one likes it. So why are we forcing players to play it as part of the season? I guess you can grind the reprised Dreaming City weapons, but come on. Give us a fresh activity to play, or at the very least, rework Blind Well to make it fun and or more interesting. So, in short, we got a single new activity for the longest season we have ever had in Destiny. I don't know about that decision, Bungie. What about weapons? I took a quick look through the new weapons, and I think there's some good ones worth grinding for. The Arc Waveframe looks like it'll give Forbearance a run for its money, and the Solar Rapid-Fire Sniper Rifle will probably be pretty good for DPS rotations. I'd say maybe 10 to 20% of the new weapons are good on first glance. Maybe another 10 to 20 are sleeper picks, or will end up being good once people find ways to combo with them. The other 60% is meh to bad, but I think that's pretty much the standard for most seasonal weapon releases. The returning exotic, Dragon's Breath, is okay. It's neat, but I was kind of expecting it to be a bit more flashy or better. And I think I would rather just stick to using my crafted Apex or even my Hotheads, which were basically just copies of the original Dragon's Breath anyway. I'm looking forward to the new exotic Strand Bow, which will be released alongside a new exotic mission in a couple weeks. I'm a sucker for exotic bows, and this one's utility looks to be pretty good. One thing that I talked about in my previous 2 videos about seasons is exotic armor. And I was very excited to see new exotic armor this season because what we got in Season of the Witch was really good. So I am very disappointed to say that we did not get any new exotic armor this season. We've kind of come to expect new armor every season, so not getting any this time around is a bit disappointing. To be fair, it's not a requirement for a seasonal drop, but it would kind of be nice to have a little bit more content for this season, Bungie. Maybe they'll drop some in the spring update before the final shape. We can only hope. The exotic reworks, though, are pretty solid so far. I've been playing with Shards of Galanor, and I also have been playing with a new Ophidia Space build that turned out to be pretty fun. I'll be testing out a lot of the other changes over the next few weeks. I saw Apotheosis Veil was a pretty pleasant surprise, by the way. That I wasn't expecting. So, how do I feel overall, though? I am pretty underwhelmed, in all honesty. We have, again, a 7-month-long season, and we were given a single activity, which, to be fair, is good, but it's only one. We're forced to play a pre-existing activity no one wants to play and no one asked for, and outside of those 2 things, there's nothing to do. During my live stream on Tuesday, I literally ran out of things to do. I was live for a few hours, and usually I grind the heck out of a new season on launch. Not so much this time. I don't know what else to say. It's kind of just, there's one activity, and once you play it a bunch, you don't really want to play it much more. So yeah, a big miss from Bungie is not reprising Garden of Salvation. Our main enemy type this season is the Soul Divisive Vex from the Garden of Salvation. How they didn't update the loot pool and touch up the raid is beyond me. The theme was perfect, and it would have given players another activity to grind. Maybe they'll update it sometime in the coming months. I am hopeful. I am also hoping the exotic mission that's coming in 2 weeks will have a lot of replayability, like Seraph Shield did in the Season of the Seraph. We'll put a bookmark on that one and check back in a few weeks. But yeah, there's an alarming lack of content this season, even compared to seasons I thought were pretty bad, like Season of Plunder. I really hope Bungie has something cooking within the next couple months because the population is already at an all-time low, and this season is probably not going to capture the attention of players either. For now, I'm going to be grinding out the Thorn Catalyst and trying to get some buddies together to do the master tier of the Coil while anxiously awaiting for a better content drop. But hey, maybe that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Is Season of the Wish shaping up to be better or worse than you expected? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, or join our Discord server to discuss the new season with me and other Guardians in real time. And of course, we'll be taking a much deeper look at the new content released this season in the upcoming weeks. I'll probably start with a video about the new dungeon, so make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss my blind run on Friday, and my analysis video in the coming weeks. But that should be about it. As always, I've been Rizeki, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.